Lesson 5.3, Adding and Subtracting Unlike Fractions. For example 1, you have to find the LCD of 15 and 5. If you remember, to find the LCD, we could do something called the birthday cake method. Both divide by 5. This is 3, this is 1. LCD is the side and the bottom numbers multiplied together, which is 15. 7 over 15 already has a denominator of 15. But what about 1/5? How did you go from 5 to 15? Well, you multiplied by 3. So multiply that same number by the numerator 1. You get 3 15s. Now, just like the previous lesson, you add the numerators together, keep the same denominator. 7 plus 3 is 10 over 15, simplifies to 2/3. Part B, 3 and 4, we need to find the LCD. 3 and 4 do not divide by the same number, by any number other than 1. So we just multiply them together, and the LCD is 12. I'm going to write two fractions with the LCD of 12. Remember, with these negatives, I like to put the negatives with the numerators. Even the subtraction, you could add a negative. We'll do that after we convert them. How did I go from 3 to 12? You multiply by 4. So multiply -2 by 4, which is -8 over 12. We put the subtraction sign. Let's bring that over. And 4 to 12 is 4 times 3, so we do 3 times 3, which is 9. Now we write the difference of numerators over the denominator. And again, you can change this to adding a negative. So -8 plus -9 is -17 over 12. This is an improper fraction. We change it to a mixed number, which is -1 and 5/12. Please pause the video and find the sum or difference of number 1 and number 2. For number 1, the LCD, well, 21 and 7 both divide by 7. That's 1 and that's 3. When you multiply that together, you get 21. 7 times 3 gets you to 21, so we do 3 times 3, which is 9, and we already have 21 for 5/21. Add the 9 and the 5 together, 14 over 21, which can be simplified to 2/3. For number 2, we find the LCD, 4 and 10, both divide by 2. This is 2, this is 5, and I'm finished. Multiply 2 times 2 times 5, which is 20. I'm going to write two fractions, putting subtraction in between. To get from 4 to 20, multiply by 5. 1 times 5 is 5. 10 times 2 is 20. 3 times 2 is 6. Now we can take 5 minus 6 over 20, which is -1/20. For example 2, adding mixed numbers, we need to change it to improper fractions. Remember, with the negatives, just bring over the negative and multiply 5 times 6 plus 1, which is 31 over 6. 2 times 10 is 20, plus 3 is -23 over 10. Find the LCD. 6 and 10 both divide by 2. We multiply the 2 times the 3 times the 5, which is 30. We're actually going to use the 30 because that is the LCD, not 60. 6 times 5 is 30. Negative 31 times 5 is negative 155. 10 times 3 is 30. So 23 times 3, and be careful of the negative, bring it down, is negative 69. Now we add negative 55 plus negative 69 all over the common denominator of 30. Negative 155 plus 69 is negative 224 over 30. And then write that as a mixed number, which is negative 7 and 7/15. And you can see that's what they got, negative 7 and 7/15. They just had to simplify at the end because they used the 60. For example 3, you are hiking a 12 1/5 mile trail. You have already hiked 6.5 miles. How many more? And you can always know that when it asks the question, how many more, you are going to subtract. How many more miles do you have to hike before reaching the end of the trail? Well, the total distance is 12 1/5 miles. You already have hiked 6.5. So we're going to subtract these two numbers, changing them into improper fractions. The LCD of 5 and 2 is 10. 5 times 2 was 10, so 61 times 2 is 122. 2 times 5 is 10, so 13 times 5 is 65. Take 122 minus 65 all over 10. You get 57 over 10. Change it to a mixed number. 5 and 7/10 is your answer. That's the remaining distance. Find the sum or difference for problems 3 through 4. Remember to turn them into an improper fraction first and find the LCD before you can add them or subtract them. Pause the video at this time. The improper fraction of 4 and 5/6 is 29 over 6 plus 2 and 4/9 becomes 22 over 9. The LCD of 6 and 9, well, they both divide by 3. So 3 times 3 times 2 is 18. 6 times 3 is 18. So 29 times 3 is 87. 9 times 2 is 18, so do 22 times 2, which is 44. 87 plus 44 is 131 over 18. Change to a mixed number, which is 7 and 5/18. Number 4, let's change subtraction to adding a negative. Just bring down the negative and change it to improper, which is 7 over 3 plus 7 times 3 plus 3 is 24 over 7, negative, watch the negative, make sure you bring it down. 3 and 7 have a common denominator of 21. To get from 3 to 21, I multiply by 7, so take negative 7 times 7, which is negative 49. To get from 7 to 21, I multiply by 3, so 24, negative 24 times 3 is negative 72. Add them together, and they're both negative, so the answer will be negative 121 over 21. Change it to a mixed number, which is negative 5 and 16/21. For example 4, this time we're simplifying an expression with variables. Now, these you still need to find the common denominator because 4 and 8 need to be the same denominator. So the common denominator is 8. So I'm going to multiply this first fraction by 2 to get my new fraction. 4 times 2 is 8, but 2 times a is just 2a. Now I can write 2a minus a over 8. Remember that in front of the variable a, there isn't this invisible 1. So 2a minus 1a is 1a over 8. And you can either have just a, or I will accept 1a over 8. Either of them is the answer. Please solve the problems 5 and 6 by simplifying the fractions. Find the LCD first. Well, 3 and 8, nothing divides by them, so just multiply them together, which is 24. 3 to 24 was times 8, so take 8 times b, which is 8b. 8 times 3 is 24, so multiply b by 3, which is 3b. And now you have 8b plus 3b over 24. You have 11b over 24. 5 and 7 don't divide by anything but 1, so we multiply them together to get 35 as our common denominator. 7 times 5, so we multiply 5 times 7 is 35. Take 7 times c, which is 7c. 7 times 5 is 35 again. Multiply c times 5, which is 5c. Subtract the numerators. You have 2c over 35.